So how do you spend the time off? Like, you get a couple extra days in between games, kind of a little bit of a break, I guess, a respite from the grind. How do you try to maximize that time?
It depends. If my family's in town, I try to spend time with them. If not, I try to sleep when you can, and just try to get some downtime. It really kind of depends on what the schedule looks like upcoming, if you can truly get that or not, and kind of how to prioritize those moments to recover. And ours is different. It's not necessarily as physical as their recovery, but mentally, emotionally, and all the other things.
Mark Rustiga, Cronkite News. I just wanted to know how the attention surrounding the Fever differs from where you were coaching them in the past compared to now.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Everything is highlighted. Obviously much more speculation about things that people don't know about. Much more, I guess, activity from the outside, and so it creates more of a challenge to try to filter through that and make sure that we keep what happens, inside our building, inside our locker room, to those areas, and really, try to silence the noise as much as possible, and try to keep the main thing, and focus on just being a better basketball team.
Yeah, this is the beginning of 5 games in 8 days for coming on the West Coast road trip. Just how do you keep, yourself, your coaching staff, and all the players kind of sharp during this stretch?
I think the biggest thing is we have to play the game that's in front of us. We have to play the possession that's in front of us. We can't really look too far down the road and trip on anything that's in front of us or trip on anything that's behind us. So we just got to stay locked into the moment. We've got to be where our feet are. We've got to understand the urgency that not just this kind of stretch, but this time of the year entails.
Yeah, and it's kind of been talked about before with the timing between games has gotten shorter and shorter over the past few years. Just how do you hope that kind of gets fixed in the next few years, or is that something you've seen become an issue?
Yeah, obviously there's no right answer. I think the cadence of games when you're an NBA team with 30 teams is different than the cadence of games within the W with 13 teams because of how you have to travel. NBA teams can get a lot of games in and not go anywhere, really. Stay in the same time zone or vary one time zone. And we are consistently going back and forth from time zone to time zone. So, I think when we add more teams and you have more games in regional locations, I think that helps. I think eventually, I don't think it's any secret that we're going to have to expand the footprint. And we're going to have to put a little bit more cadence in between games. I think where we are right now is a function of where we've been, and what we have to look forward to is expanding that in all areas and making sure that we're putting everything, including health and wellness for players, at the forefront and as a priority.
Any questions for Seth?
When you say expand the footprint, do you mean, would you be open to, what do you think of the idea, I guess, of extending the season later into the calendar year?
Yeah, I think that's going to eventually be a necessity for our league. I don't think that there's any way that we can continue to add teams and add games in the same footprint. We're growing, and it's a natural part of growing. Some of the things that we're seeing are growing pains, but at the same time, I think when you grow, you've got to continue to expand, and in some ways get creative. But I think that's a natural progression for our league.